water.
Scotty B going to work in the paint.
Eastern Conference Final. New NBA champion. And it's a team from Toronto, Canada. We, the North, are now we, the champions.
What is going on, Raptors Nation? It is Luca here back with the Raptors Nation podcast. Hope you're all doing well. Happy Thanksgiving to my fellow Americans. Hope you guys are enjoying. If you are celebrating on this day, for my fellow Canadians, welcome to just another Thursday. As there are no NBA games, it's going to be a day filled with NFL fun. But in this one, wanted to talk Raptors. There's been a lot of stuff going on with this team. Following an impressive win over the New Orleans Pelicans. It was a balanced attack. Go check out the post-game video I did on that if you haven't already. And yeah, let's dive into it, guys. Drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and please leave us a 5-star review wherever you find this podcast. Apple, iTunes, Spotify. It all goes a long way. Definitely keep it locked and loaded on the Raptors Nation YouTube channel. Dropping content pretty consistently on here, so you definitely want to make sure you're locked in and help us continue to grow this channel as well. So, yeah, I'm not going to waste any time. Let's get right into this because I have been genuinely impressed with Jamison Battle. Jamison Battle looks like a certified sniper out there. I mean, this dude is coming off his best performance of his career. Battle with Grady Dick out. He's missed the last couple of games. Calf contusion in this one in particular. Battle getting an extended run, and he really made the most out of the opportunity. Jamison Battle, undrafted player. It's been a while since the Raptors hit on one of these undrafted players that turned into a quality rotation player, and I know it's still early. Battle is still unproven, but he's definitely been making some positive strides, and it's been great to see. And you look at that game he just had, 24 points in 22 minutes. I mean, he just absolutely shot the lights out. Jamison Battle, it was the efficiency that was just unbelievable. 9 for 11 shooting from the field, guys. 6 for 8 shooting from deep. Battle is now shooting 43.3% from beyond the arc. He had a steal. He had a block. He had a 9-point outing against the Pistons, but really in this one, he showed you once he gets hot, he can be such a tremendous asset to this team. And when you got a guy who can shoot as well as he can, come from off the bench, it can really take over a game. It can really transform things. And the ultimate floor spacer when you got a guy in Battle who can just hit threes with this efficiency. And yeah, he's got to come a long way still when you talk about his defense, but you look at what he's bringing right now, the skill set of him just being a lethal shooter. And when he is in the zone, he's shooting it at a nice rate. That alone is certainly going to give him some more looks here from this Raptors team, because we know how heavy 3-point shooting is now in today's NBA. We're actually going to talk about that more in just a little bit. So you got to make your threes if you want to win. It's as simple as that. It's really dumbed down, and you need players who can hit threes. And Jamison Battle is one of those guys that we saw. Once he's hot, he's hot. The 6'7" wing can certainly shoot the lights out, and he had himself a nice game. So I was very impressed with what I saw from Battle. With Dick continuing to be sidelined, he's not going to be playing against Miami. We're going to definitely see more of Battle. And I like how he's really just using this opportunity in front of him and making the most out of it. He's not trying to do too much. He's just going out there and trying to just maximize what he brings to this team. And it is just the simple skill of shooting. Like, this guy can just really help everybody around him with his ability to hit shots. And you look at Battle, I mean, this is a guy who you always thought could turn into something. And, you know, he did have the inconsistent playing time. You saw him in spurts, but really now, like, this is a guy in Battle. Like, he's got nice size. He can shoot it. So there's definitely going to be a spot for him on this team if he can continue to shoot it as well as this. I mean, you don't expect them to go, this insane 6 for 8 from downtown, 9 for 11 shooting from the field every night. But if Battle can give you a couple threes, that really turns things around, especially when you do look to your bench to inject some life. And it was a 3-point party for the Raptors. We hadn't seen that in a while, and Battle was a main reason why the Raptors were able to benefit with such a great game from beyond the arc. He really helped the Raptors in that department. And I just want to pinpoint some quotes here. Darko was really impressed with what he saw from Battle. He said this post game, I really like the effort he's putting in and day out. Every time I talk to him, his eyes are wide open. He's focused, he's listening, and he's really trying everything that we are coaching and teaching to go out there on the court and do it. Is that defensive positioning? Is that how to avoid screens? Is that boxing out? Whatever it might be, he's making strides and he's focused to do good job. So I think we got something really special with him. So that's Darko saying that about Jamison Battle. And then this is what Battle said. I thought this was interesting as well, because when you see Battle, and he's 23 years old, but just beyond the game, he just seems like such a composed and mature person. And this just verified that, saying, he talked about how he keeps his mind fresh when he's not working out, when he's not playing basketball. And he said, one of the big things I like to do is journal. That's something where, it's just a release every night. You just come sit down and talk about your day and just let go of all the feelings that you have and just reflect. And I think that's one thing I love to do, is read back and reflect on times that I've gone through. And I have times from 2 years ago at Minnesota. I have times from last year at Ohio State. And I have times from now where I can just sit there and read. So Battle seems like a very intelligent guy. He seems like a very mature player again. And, having a guy like this that the Raptors were able to find undrafted, he does look like he could be a big hidden gem for this team. So hopefully Battle can keep shooting as well as he has. Hopefully he, continues to bridge that gap defensively. He's able to do things, he's got nice size, so rebound the basketball, because this is a guy who's definitely got the stature and the skill set that would allow him to be a very playable player with this Raptors team. So obviously we'll see how things look once this team is fully healthy, but for the time being, guys are out. Jamison Battle is in there. They really needed shooting with Grady Dick out. We saw how much of lack of shooting hurt this team in that game against Detroit. Against the Pelicans, it was the opposite. They need shooting and they need scoring. And with Dick out, that's going to be tough. So Battle, he really filled in nicely, and that was great to see. I mean, it's all about the next man up mentality. And if you're a player like Battle trying to make your mark in this league, find your place, it's opportunities like this that you really have to maximize. And he did just that against the Pelicans. They needed shooting. They needed that extra kick with Grady out, and Battle delivered and then some. So really been pleased with what I've seen from Jamison Battle. We'll see how he continues to look. But man, that guy can shoot it. Like that was fun to watch. Jamison Battle, he's turning heads in Toronto. A lot of people are starting to recognize what he's capable of doing. And that's good, because the Raptors, they need guys who can shoot. This is dating back to years now. Like they need guys who can just hit the three with consistency. And hopefully Battle can be just that. So speaking of 3-point shooting, that is the league now, folks. There's so much stuff that I've seen online, and I get it, right? Like you talk about NBA viewership being down, a lot of people who I talk to, even friends saying, Luca, like the NBA just doesn't hit the same, like the gameplay, all this. And a lot of it does stem from how the game has changed. It's a 3-point shooting fest. Let's call it for what it is. Teams are taking threes like we have never seen before. The numbers suggest that the 3-point shot is a much better shot than mid-range shots, than other shots. Really, it's 3-pointers, dunks, and layups or free throws. Like it's really become that. So the Raptors have to adapt to that new NBA, because that's what the game has become. Whether you think it's destroying the game or not, that's besides the point. This has become the new NBA. 3-point shooting is prevalent. And the Raptors came into Tuesday averaging an NBA low 31.2 3-point attempts a game. And just to put into perspective, NBA teams going into Tuesday were averaging 37 3-point attempts a game this season. And that's definitely on pace to be a new league record. And it's crazy how much the game has changed, because you go back to Michael Jordan's final season with the Bulls in 97, 98, teams average a little less than 13 3-pointers a game. So teams are taking nearly 3 times as many threes as those teams during that Michael Jordan final season. Like, it's crazy what it's become, but that's just what it is at this point. And it was nice to see the Raptors take a season high 52 threes, because who knew? If you take a lot of threes and you hit them, you're going to have a good chance to win every single night. And the Raptors took a lot of threes. They hit a lot of threes. I believe they doubled the Pelicans' three-pointers made in this game. And what do you know? They blew them out. They were 21 of 52 from three-point range, 40.4%. You're definitely going to take that. And guys, like, you look at right now, the cream of the crop, Boston Celtics, they came into Tuesday averaging 50.6 threes a game. Threes have accounted for 56% of the Celtics field goal attempts. So, like, that's the formula today, right? Like, the Celtics, championship contender. There's a reason why they won last season. There's a reason why they're the favorite this season. You look at their players, Tatum's shooting 10.7 threes a game, White 9.1 threes, Pritchard 8.2 threes. So, like, you look at the Celtics as being the example. You need to be able to shoot threes and hit them. And Joe Mazzulla said, I like math. And of course, the 3-point shot, if you talk to all the analytic people that have taken over this game, you know, it has become the more efficient option than most 2-pointers. And again, like I said, it's 3-pointers, layups, dunks, free throws. That's literally what the game feels like it's become. And the Raptors, obviously, if you're going to take a lot of threes, you got to hit them. The Raptors did do a better job of hitting their threes last game, and they now are 23rd in 3-point accuracy. So they actually went up a bit. I believe they're 27th going to that Pelicans game. Now they're 23rd. And the Raptors were just basically relying on, you know, winning the possession battle. They've been doing a great job of crashing the glass. They did just that. Running the break, forcing turnovers, all that, and then taking threes as they come. But we've seen, like, that hasn't resulted in a lot of wins for this team. Whereas if the Raptors are able to take more threes and hit their threes, they're going to look good out there, and they're going to have a chance to win games. And what was crazy to me was that game against the Pistons, the Raptors had won the rebounding battle. They had taken way more shots than the Pistons, and they still lost because, again, lack of three-point shooting. So I'm not saying I want to see Scotty Barnes take 15 threes a game, 10 threes a game. You want to still be smart with your shot selection. I don't want RJ chucking up shots. And obviously this team, they need more shooting. Grady Dick being out doesn't help, but you hope Grady, Battle, Jacoby Walter, Emmanuel Quickly, when he comes back, you're going to see these numbers a lot higher than they are now. But the point is, more threes. The Raptors, they need to take more threes, and they need to hit more threes, because you see it. Like, it makes a big difference. If they were able to hit more threes, they just destroy the Pistons on Monday as well. And we saw in this one, took more threes, made more threes, and they were just able to annihilate the Pelicans. So it's time for the Raptors to adapt more to the new NBA and see what kind of the top teams are doing. And the Boston Celtics are the prime example of this, because not only do they take a lot of threes, they got capable, impressive 3-point shot makers, but the Raptors were kind of relying on other ways to win games. And, you know, obviously, if you're just talking about winning, we're not talking about always this team trying to just, you know, tank and all that, and not really trying to put their best foot forward. But besides all that, I'm just talking about, like, having the best chance to win now. Yeah, whether you love it or hate it, it has become a 3-point shooting game. So the Raptors need 3-point shots to go up, and they need to make them. And that game against the Pelicans was a prime example of when you do take a lot of threes and you're hitting them, like, you're going to be in a good position to win ball games. And obviously, it helped going against the Pelicans team, shorthanded. I get all that. And they didn't necessarily take a lot of threes. But yeah, I mean, 3-point shooting is very important in today's game, guys. So you see it in every single NBA game you watch. You can blame Stephen Curry for how the game has turned out, but that's just the reality. And it's only going to get more and more like this. Like, you talk about 3 times as many threes as the teams back then. Imagine what that number is going to look like a couple years down the line, just this season, next season. Like, that's what it is. And I mean, that's a little bit scary because the Raptors haven't been a good 3-point shooting team in years past, but that's why it's important to hit on guys that can hit shots and hit threes like a Jamison Battle, because that is such a valuable thing to have on your team. Like, look at Battle and Abaji. They were outstanding. I think they combined for what, 12 threes? Yeah, you hit your threes, you're gonna be cooking. All right, guys, we are going to conclude with some trade talk. Not gonna get crazy with it, but I thought it'd be somewhat fun to kind of speculate. So I was reading Eric Kareem's article on The Athletic, and he did lay out a couple of hypothetical trades for Chris Boucher. I still think this Raptors team, they're going to be sellers at the trade deadline. I mean, that's not rocket science. I think this team is still going to try to position themselves as players in the draft, and hopefully they could get a top 5 pick. So they're going to, I think, trade their veteran players. It just makes sense. And the guy in Chris Boucher, he's having his best season really since the Tampa season. He has really been an igniter from off that bench. There's like, if Boucher's not playing on the Raptors this season, who knows? Like, the record may in fact be worse. A lot of the games may have gotten out of hand. Like, he's really been filling that role nicely. And Boucher is a guy that maybe he does attract some potential trade suitors. And he's making $10.8 million this season. So a team looking to add some depth, he's a guy who can shoot, give you offensive boards. So basically, Kareem, he outlined Boucher to Cleveland for Niang and 2 second-rounders. He also mentioned Boucher to Sacramento for Trey Lyles and a second. Boucher to Orlando for Gary Harris, Caleb Houston, and a pair of seconds. So I think in terms of draft capital, you're getting second-round picks. You're definitely not getting a first-round pick for Chris Boucher. But, yeah, maybe a team like Cleveland, they could use rebounding if they're looking to take that next step. They could use more depth. And then Sacramento, they've underachieved to this point. That's a team that's clearly looking to win, so they could be willing to part ways for another piece from off the bench. So I thought those destinations made a lot of sense, and those are all teams that could use rebounders. And then Orlando too, they just been killing it. Maybe they could use another big body from off the bench. So yeah, I mean, Chris Boucher, I think if he continues to play as well as he has been, like, this is a guy who is going to receive interest, and this is a guy who could be a nice bench piece for a lot of these teams pushing to try to do something in the playoffs or put themselves in a playoff position if you are, of course, the Sacramento Kings. And then the big one is, of course, going to be Bruce Brown. He has not played yet. It was believed that he was going to make his season debut at some point during this road trip. That has not happened. He is not going to play against Miami. So we're going to have to wait a little bit longer for Bruce Brown, who continues to recover from his knee surgery. The Warriors have been a name that has popped up kind of in just like hypothetical articles that I've seen, just fan chatter. I don't know how much sense that makes if you're the Raptors, because I think the Raptors are still going to want to get draft capital for Brown. But then again, like, he hasn't even been playing. Are you really going to get a first-round pick for Brown at this point? So there was something I saw out there, Milton, Kyle Anderson for Brown. Not sure how I feel about that. Again, when the Raptors were looking to explore trades for Boucher last season, ultimately didn't get it done. They were exploring a deal that involved the first-round pick. But, of course, Brown hasn't played. So that's why we got to get Brown out there. He's going to have to look good to kind of restore that trade value. But Brown's still going to be highly coveted regardless. He's a guy that can help a contending team. He would be a perfect fit on a team like the Warriors, looking to add more depth, veteran presence, a guy who's won a championship. He's done it on the big stage in the playoffs. Of course, his former team, Denver, I don't know what Denver could offer, but there are teams that Brown makes a lot of sense for. And it's just going to come down to the asking price of Masai Ujiri. But I think Brown's going to be a big name at the trade deadline. And then another name is Kelly Olynyk. We haven't really talked about Olynyk's name because we kind of viewed him as just being on this team as that veteran. And and all that. But that's another guy who could receive a lot of interest, and he hasn't played either. He's been out for the entirety of the season to this point with back spasms. And Bleacher Report's Jake Fisher said that Olynyk is drawing interest reportedly from those within the Bay Area. So Olynyk to the Warriors potentially. And he said, I was told from various NBA executives around the league that Kelly Olynyk was someone the Warriors were targeting at last year's trade deadline. He would fit their system perfectly, Fisher said. So Fisher, he did comment on a potential deal, saying that DeAnthony Melton's contract makes sense as the trade away here. And Olynyk, yeah, he's a guy who could definitely be a big addition to a contending team. He can still shoot it well. He's a big, like, this is a guy that once he's healthy, he can still contribute in a big way, especially if you get him or have him come off the bench. So I think Olynyk's going to have some interest. Boucher, Brown, and then even Jakob Poeltl. Like, Jakob Poeltl is another name, right? Like, he had that amazing tear. We knew he was going to come back to reality once guys came back, particularly Scotty. We've seen with Scotty coming back, like, Poeltl's not taking nearly as many shots as he did, and he's just not having the same offensive outputs that he did. That's to be expected, but his rebounding's still been really good. I believe he's leading the league right now in offensive rebounds, so that's a guy who can be a starter on a contending team, really, with how he's playing. There's teams that are going to be in the market for a center. The Lakers come to mind. So I think that's the player who you could get the most for in Jakob Poeltl. A first-round pick, most definitely, I think you could get for Yak at this point. And then it'll be interesting to see who else goes. But yeah, it could be a fire sale for the Raptors. There's a couple of guys who I could definitely see the Raptors parting ways with at the trade deadline. Poeltl, Boucher, just being a few, and then yeah, potentially and Brown, of course, and then maybe even potentially Olynyk. So that it will be interesting to see. But if you're the Raptors, you're going to be really trying to get draft capital. I would believe that is the game plan for this team, and yeah, just continue to add nice assets to this rebuilding young team. But yeah, guys, let me know who you would want to see the Raptors part ways with and what you would want to get back in some potential trades for some of those players I just named. But yeah, guys, that is going to conclude today's pod. Just wanted to talk about the latest. Let me know your thoughts to everything I talked about today. Thoughts on Battle, the Raptors taking more threes in their last game and hitting them, and trade talk. Just some of the names that keep popping up in trade rumors, it seems. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Go and follow me on X at Luca Rosano 3. We'll be back at it again. Raptors take on the Heat to conclude their 4-game road stand. Let's see if they could get the dub, as they will return home Sunday to take on the Heat again. But keep it locked and loaded on this channel, guys, for the latest. That is it for me. It's Luke signing off. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, stay safe.